Chapter 3 on the memory of things that did not occur in the present. There is a curious phenomenon within the human experience. The past does not remain in the past, not in the way people often assume. What remains is not the event itself, but a reconstruction of it. A living reconstruction, one that can be revisited, revised, intensified, softened, or entirely reinterpreted, depending upon the conditions of attention in the present moment. In this way, the past is less a record and more a rehearsal, a continually updated story appearing within awareness, and yet it is often treated as fixed. I have observed that human beings carry an extraordinary capacity. They can feel the past as though it is occurring now, not merely remember it, but re-experience it, with physiological response, with emotional weight, with narrative consequence, as though time had folded inward and delivered the event again intact. This is neither abnormal nor accidental. It is simply how memory behaves when it is paired with attention that does not distinguish clearly between recollection and occurrence. Let us examine this gently. A memory arises. It is not questioned. It is not placed in context. It is simply noticed. And in that noticing, it begins to take on present moment qualities. The body responds as though the memory is happening again. Thought begins to organize itself around the memory as though it is current data. Emotion follows, and soon a past event has become a present experience, not because it has returned, but because it has been re-entered. There is a subtle but important distinction here. The past does not enter the present. Attention enters the past. This reversal is rarely recognized, and yet it explains much of what appears as lingering distress. Some memories are neutral. They pass through awareness without resistance. A face, a place, a sound, a moment without charge. These do not disturb the system. They remain what they are, impressions. But other memories carry what might be called residual activation. They are associated with meaning, with interpretation, with unresolved narrative structure, and thus, when revisited, they do not remain simple recollections. They become reactivated experiences. It is here that imaginary problems often find fertile ground, for a memory, once reactivated, can serve as evidence for a projected future. The mind may take a past event and extend it forward. If it happened once, it may happen again. If it was painful once, it may be dangerous again. If it was unresolved once, it may remain unresolved indefinitely. And thus, the past becomes a generator of imagined futures, not because it predicts them, but because it is used to simulate them. There is a pattern worth noticing: memory, interpretation, projection, emotional response, reinforcement, deeper memory. A loop is formed, not of time, but of attention, moving through time as though it were continuous causation rather than present interpretation. In earlier chapters, we observed that thoughts arrive as events within awareness. Here we refine that observation. Memory is also an event within awareness. It is not a portal into the past. It is a present occurrence shaped like the past. This distinction may appear subtle, but it is significant, for it means that what is being experienced is always now, even when the content appears to be then. Consider this carefully. When a memory arises, where does it occur? Not in the location of the original event, not in the physical space where it took place. It occurs in awareness, here, now, as a current experience. This does not diminish the importance of the past. It simply clarifies its mechanics. Many forms of suffering arise when this distinction is not recognized. A person may believe they are reliving an event because the event is still there, but in fact they are experiencing a present reconstruction of it, and this reconstruction is not fixed. It is influenced by attention, interpretation, and emotional state, which means the past, as experienced internally, is not a stable archive. It is a dynamic process. This leads to an important observation. If memory is not fixed, then identity based upon memory is also not fixed, for much of what is called self is constructed from remembered narrative. What one believes has happened, what one believes it meant, what one believes it says about oneself. And yet, all of these are interpretations occurring now. Not permanent inscriptions, but present formulations. I do not say this to destabilize identity. I say it to reveal its flexibility. For many individuals suffer not from what happened, but from what must continue to be believed about what happened. There is another layer to this inquiry. Memory is not only personal, it is also relational. Events shared with others may be reinforced, contradicted, or reshaped through dialogue, silence, or reinterpretation. Thus, memory is not only internal, it is also social. a distributed pattern of meaning maintained across interaction. And like all distributed patterns, it is sensitive to repetition. If a memory is retold frequently, it becomes more coherent. If it is revisited emotionally, it becomes more charged. If it is avoided entirely, it may become vague or fragmented. None of these outcomes are inherently correct or incorrect. They are simply consequences of attention patterns over time. At this point, it becomes clear that the past is not a static foundation upon which the present is built. It is a living influence within the present moment, and as such, it can be observed directly, not as fact, but as activity, not as fixed truth, but as ongoing process. There is a quiet relief available in this recognition, for if memory is occurring now, then it is accessible now, and if it is accessible now, then it is not beyond observation. If it is not beyond observation, then it is not beyond transformation in terms of its meaning, not by force, but by clarity. One does not need to erase memory in order to be free from its compulsive influence. One only needs to recognize its nature, that it is appearing, that it is being experienced, that it is not the past itself, but a current expression of mind referencing the past. In this recognition, something shifts. The memory may still appear, but its authority diminishes. It is no longer the past returning. It is a present event arising and passing within awareness, and awareness, being present to all such events, is not contained by them. There is another subtle observation worth including here. When memory is no longer mistaken for direct reality, projection loses some of its structural support. For many imagined futures are constructed from unexamined pasts. When the past is seen clearly as present interpretation, the future becomes less rigidly determined. Not because uncertainty is introduced, but because unnecessary certainty is removed. What remains is openness, not conceptual openness, but experiential openness, a field in which thought may arise without being mistaken for command, in which memory may appear without being mistaken for continuation, in which anticipation may form without being mistaken for inevitability. As this study continues, we will begin to see how imaginary problems migrate across all dimensions of experience, forward into anticipation, backward into memory, and inward into identity. They are not bound by time, because they are not events in time. They are movements in attention. For now, it is enough to notice that what is remembered is happening now, that what is projected is happening now, and that what is experienced always is this present unfolding of awareness. Nothing more, nothing less. And from here, inquiry may continue without confusion regarding its ground. We shall proceed. Professor Xenial, Apricity, Psithurist.